And just like that, 5 different narratives have just completely collapsed. People were spurging out about Nintendo not re-releasing games on the eShop. They just have. People were spurging out about the price point for these games. They're like $20. We have seen so much rage and outrage and just nonsense coming from the Pokemon community to just see all of it collapse in one fell swoop. Not even because of a major new release, but of re-releases of old games is incredible. And I do think we are witnessing the end of the Pokemon hate community. It's becoming more and more apparent to most fans that anybody who spurgs out about Pokemon is only doing so for clicks, only doing so for attention, is the sort of person who would never, ever, ever support Nintendo or the Pokemon Company at all, right? The idea that $20 is too much to ask for when it comes to a re-release of classic games, if you buy these games secondhand, they're like $200. These re-releases of classic games are being $20. That's a perfectly reasonable price point. Everyone's fine with it. I'm fine with it. These are all-time classic games. I've never actually played this game before, actually. So this is going to be my first time playing Fire Red and Leaf Green ever, right? Right now, the narrative is that these games are too overpriced. And in doing so, these guys have really transparently kind of exposed themselves. Because so much of the discourse around this, so much of the backlash towards this re-release hinges on the fact that, you can just emulate that. First of all, no, you can't, because the majority of players are going to be playing officially released games, okay? Most people are going to be going around with their Switch 1s or their Switch 2s playing this game legally, on their console without pirating it, And that means that the player pool is going to be primarily revolving around these people. If you're going to trade, if you're going to play against other people, you're going to need to play to have an officially licensed game from Nintendo. Okay. And this is the big reality that people just don't want to address when it comes to this kind of thing. And why Pokemon emulation isn't really a thing. It's entirely because of the social aspect. The majority of people are not playing this through emulation. And as a result of that, emulated versions of these games may as well not exist. Okay? The simple fact of the matter is that these are games that are hypothetically titles that should have been, emulated, that people should have been downloading illegally and playing on their emulators with Nintendo code, these illegal emulators. That was supposed to be the narrative, right? Is that everybody was just getting these games for free, and that there's no demand or desire for an official re-release of these old Pokemon games at all. But here we are, a stealth release for next week, Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, and everyone's excited about it. And the people who aren't excited about it are bitching about games being $20 and trying to say that that's overpriced. It's just, it needs to stop. It absolutely does need to stop. If you can't afford $20 for a video game, you really need to rethink your priorities, okay? You really think that you're entitled to getting games for free. And that's what this is really about, okay? Because we talked about this last night, too, with the Xenoblade Chronicles X thing, where everybody came out and tried to tell you that $5 for a resolution bump was unreasonable and they should have just done it for free. It's downright disgusting and really should be called out for what it is. You really believe that you are entitled to get Nintendo games for free. If you see any of the people complaining about this online, if you see anybody talking about this, if you see how they actually behave and what they tell people to do, it really does just hinge down come down to this one specific point, is that they think Nintendo should just give them everything for free or they'll just take it. It's straight up ignorant, like ghetto behavior, and it absolutely should be called out for what it is. It is downright disgusting how long this farce has gone on and how much people like have like tried to normalize this process. Now, the good news is that like it does feel like this is kind of a good demonstration, another example of just how like the emulation thing is like dead in the water. Because nobody was like emulating Fire Red and Leaf Green. Nobody was like gonna go out of their way to pirate these games and like play them on like illegally sourced emulators. You know, people were waiting for an actual re-release. Okay, like there were plenty of like actual Pokemon games available to play on Nintendo consoles, but now that like Fire Red and Leaf Green are being re-released, that's a big thing. Like not only for people like me who didn't get to play the original releases, but for kids who did not grow up with classic Pokemon. It's actually something that's been brought up in the community, is that like the last time we've gotten a Kanto re-release was in 2017. Like this is going to be the first time that a lot of younger fans get to experience the original generation. And this is probably a really good way to kind of tie younger and older players together, you know? And like, I'm just very, very excited about this because I think it demonstrates just how strong Pokemon's brand actually is. I think it really does demonstrate just how all the coping and seething about Pokemon over the past 10 years has just kind of like completely collapsed. Like these guys have just so strongly exaggerated their problems with the brand and with the Pokemon company and with Nintendo that like eventually the complaints just kind of come off as asinine and ridiculous. It's kind of absurd, honestly, like how much better Pokemon is than things like, say, the NFL or the music industry or like HBO, you know, like, you know, all these mainstream things that like, you know, the community desperately tries to tell you are good. Like, I swear, Night of the Seven Kingdoms is based. It's amazing. Oh, like that's the narrative. That's typically what we have to go through, like in normie circles. I swear, Lady Gaga, she's a really good musician, guys. Like, you know, meanwhile, you know, Pokemon fans are playing peak near constantly. Like, not only like near constantly, but like we can go back and we can experience games from 20 years ago and have an absolute blast with them, you know? Like, yeah, Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green are 20 years old now, and they are still absolute peak experiences that really demonstrate just how strong Pokemon actually is as a brand. And I cannot wait to actually try this game for myself.